What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Fury here, and in this week's character review we have Apate making her surprise performance be known to all of us, Yuki putting her in the cafe. This is going to be very exciting. A lot of folks are finally looking to build up their first Apate build, while others are now spamming, of course, and we're gonna have a very spicy Ultimate League coming right up. But let's dive in and look at Apate's skills and rules. You guys aren't going to want to miss this. We're starting now.
I wanna be immortal, like a god in the sky. I wanna be a silk flower.
So as I mentioned earlier, Apate, since her release, has been one of the most popular and chased characters for the PvP scene. So as she's making her impact now, we're going to be seeing a lot of teams using her in doubles, maybe even triples, and then the ultimate leagues, of course, just having her on all their teams. We're going to be seeing a lot of back and forth. So as a lot of folks are looking to build up their first copy, though, we do want to dive in and look at what Apate actually does and how we can make her even stronger. So let's dive right in here, starting with her active skill, Sirens Lament. This ability here is going to let her target 4 enemies at random and then deal 220% of attack damage. This attack will then also cause shockwave, and then also attach some resonant marks with a 70% chance. So shockwave here is where she will deal 6% of her own attack per 1 point of energy that the enemy target has. So because she is targeting 4 enemies, she's going to have this go off in addition to the 220% of the normal attack. And then the resonant mark down here with a base 70% chance. Remember, you can upgrade the elite skills and it will affect this. We'll get to that here shortly. It is a mark that will attach to the enemy target, and when their energy reaches to more than 100, say they have 90 energy and they make an attack to gain some energy, the mark is going to absorb all of it, 0 down so that it's drained out, and then do 10% of attack damage from Apate per 1 point of energy that the target had. And then of course they'll have no energy at all. So this can do a lot of damage, and it also bypasses the L5 shield potential that most girls have, making this insanely strong. You can have a girl have like 30% of their total health pool left, and this mark here is just going to straight up one-shot them through the shields without even triggering them. It's a very powerful skill that just allows Apate to be very oppressive in the PvP meta. So let's kind of also take into consideration here that attack is going to be the only real way to buff her damage. You want to be stacking as much of that as you can. There isn't really any correct way to scale her damage except by just, flatly increasing her attack. It's kind of what I wanted to put out there. And it's only any additional buffs will really only affect that 220% of attack you see over here, not the energy based one. Even skill damage doesn't increase this, just this damage up here. So keep that in mind when you're looking for your builds. Let's look next over here, the Phantom Mirage. This one is going to be her passive buffs, increasing her attack by 25%, her control immunity by 30%, speed by 60, of course here, making her one of the faster girls in the game, and also a 40% chance to dodge her enemy's attacks. These are including the actives and their basics. When she is targeted, you'll see here shortly, she just has the straight up 40% chance of being missed, and she won't gain energy off of this. She also won't take any damage and won't be subject to the CC effects or any of that. So she has to be actually hit, and this is what makes her kind of tanky, as a good F1 to use on your team. But she does not block passive effects, so Nephilim's end of round triggers, Uriel's follow up Jones follow-ups and Fenrir's block triggers for it. These are some examples. They will still hit her and she has no way of stopping them or blocking them in any way. So this is very strong. You also have elite skills that can tune this up to a 50%, and that's something you're really gonna look for. So save those USBs and floppy disks. Scream Dream is the next passive skill here. This one is going to deal 156% of her attack as damage to one random enemy, increasing their energy by 50. Well, here you ask, why would you want to give your enemy energy? Well, it also says it trembles the target. And what this does is it'll deal 6% of Apate's attack as damage per 1 point of energy that they have. So you're just increasing the damage you're going to take. And then zeroes their energy out. So now they have none, which is very oppressive. Apate here is just teasing the targets. I mean, she's an idol. Why not? But next over here, you have your Hell Reborn as the final passive. This one is where Volos, her snake, comes in. When she is defeated, Volos will take her spot. So you'll see the snake just grow up in size, and we'll start stacking Voice of Siren. And now this is just I believe it's a skill effect. Yeah, okay, it is a skill effect. Whenever a girl anywhere on the field is defeated, Volos will gain 1 Voice of Siren, and then at the end of every round, Volos will gain another Voice of Siren. Once you reach 4 total Voice of Siren marks, Apate will revive and come back at full HP and 100 energy at the start of the next round. So it's not immediately. You can lose at the end of the round by taking damage, with Apate just, ready to come back, but then the match is over. Apate may spawn, but, again, the match is over. Also, what happens here is that at the end of the round, we'll deal 50% of HP lost damage to the enemy with the lowest HP. And this is capped at 1500% of Apate's attack. So I mean, it's kind of nice here if the target has lost HP. Say for example they lost 50% of HP, they can then take up to another 50% HP, but again it's capped up to only the amount of Apate's attack. This also makes it very, I want to say, very appealing to just keep stacking as much HP as much as attack on her as possible. I'll definitely have to leave a note on that. HP is not really something you want to build around for her, although just because of all these energy reducing skills, you're going to realize real quick that you want her to be the quickest as possible. So we'll be getting into that here next. We want to be looking at her antique, but of course I was just looking at the gallery because I have some elite skills on these Apates. Come over here to this one. So for my crystal here, you're gonna have a couple of options. You have speed attack, speed HP, which are the most popular ones, but obviously if you stack attack, it's going to increase the total mark damage, the total energy damage, and also the Volos cap at the end on the end of round procs, if you want to say. But HP here, of course, is going to help her stay out on the field a little longer. She is dodging attacks, but it also helps her absorb more of those passive skills that she cannot dodge. But the important factor here is the speed. When you build her with energy and have her in excursion and just have her completely maxed out. I have a 1794 right now, but she's gonna be able to deploy that active skill at the very beginning of the match, and any enemy targets that also have energy that are slower than her, looking at Vivians and the Phylums here specifically, they are going to suffer a lot. Not being able to deploy the active skills for which they depend on, and as well as other damage girls, they're just gonna have a hard time if they're getting hit by these resonance marks very often. And with the attack boost here, those marks have an even better chance of one-shotting characters with low enough HP, since these do not get stopped by the L5 potentials. The HP one just helps her stay out there a little longer. You can get a bit aggressive when you have this HP stone, and I'll cover that here in a moment when we get to the antiques. I have attack up here, and this was for the next point over here for the PvE crystal. Again, she doesn't really scale her damage. It's hard to give her the precision boosts or to give her the skill effect, skill damage boosts. And only Raphael's active skill, for example, would help increase it. The marks on, like Linky, helping her do more damage, it's not really gonna work. Just because the damage is based off the energy, sort of doing HP percent damage, or doing energy percent damage based on Apate's own attack. So increase her attack and it'll just help her do a bit more damage. Although mainly your user in PvE for some bosses like Security Squad. When you're using it with the speed HP though, you can definitely add echoes to help increase her attack and just balance her out. But let's see here, looks like we're gonna spin out for a little bit. The reason I have echoes on there for the antique when using like speed HP is because one, it'll add her some attack, and at the same time give her a ton more speed, so that then when she revives, she is able to come out the fastest at full energy and just slam the opponent's team. You can do this with attack as well, but it just does mean that she's gonna have a hard time staying on the field after she revives. Looks like I have to refresh the game, so we'll be back in a second. This type of refresh has been happening quite often, but here we are again. Look at that, 1864, but we're just stacking speed. Folks will probably use Deception here since it's a little faster, but obviously it's going to depend on your cluster's meta. If you have a lot of, speed antique Apates going on and you want to be the fastest. But I like this one because it's going to give her the extra attack. 25% is a massive amount. So yeah, look at the HP, we're reaching the 5 million mark, but pretty high. Or you can just continue to stack up more speed and with the attack stone, get her up to the 200,000 mark. And still rocking the 1860s here. So yeah, this is what makes her a very annoying threat, especially because she does not die in the game. Uriel cannot seal her revives. So she's going to come back, blast the enemy or your team with those resonance marks if she gets a chance, making it quite a nice little go around to like Vivian. But we'll get to that as well. So over here now, we're seeing that we have our antique set to like our fake crystals, which is very popular as well. When you're building her to have the most speed as possible with an energy antique, of course, you're going to want your pink Nebula Core, usually set to speed attack. Get the extra attack from the Fate Crystal. So we're closing in on that 200,000 mark. And then also have speed potentials on your PvP build. Backwaters is also very nice, and she's always almost going to have lower HP than most girls. You could just do that extra 12% when attacking the target. Having her potential shields, and then also having baptism, so that she kind of erases the equilibrium marks from an Aphylum. It's also good for helping her stay out on the field much longer. You're going to have a solid amount of HP, 1794 kind of being that sort of top end. I have been trying to keep up with Excursion. A lot of other stronger players, so we're going to, be in the 1796, 1798 zone though. But being able to hit my opponent's team first and sort of reduce the energy on Vivian's and Aphylums, or maybe even their own Apates, is going to be very strong advantage for the friendly team in this case. And that's something we want to kind of aim for. A lot of folks who are using 2 Apates now, they might use both with energy and just try to really slam the opponent's team to cripple them by the beginning of round 1. Some folks will use a mix, one with like a speed antique and one with energy. just so that they can keep the constant annoying energy drain going, especially as the Apate start reviving. Definitely going to be up to your playstyle and what fits your team. For elite skills though, as you see, I have these two down here shining. The first one you want to really aim for is the Phantom Mirage. This one's going to increase her dodge chance to 50%. So yeah, that sort of speaks for itself. You're also going to get a bit of an attack buff up to 28%. Bit of a control immunity buff as well, an extra 3%. But it's mainly the 50% chance. You're going to get plus 10 once you get it to the maximum of level 5. The second one you'll want to consider is Sirens Lament. This one will increase the chance of her tagging resonant marks, which is her most strongest asset here, by 5%, which I'll take anything. If one in 4 times is going to be a chance to miss, okay, it's understandable. But 75% chance, even if it's just a 5% boost, I want it. I want these resonant marks on my enemy's team. 10% of attack damage, zeroing out their energy. It's just an incredible strategy. And then, of course, for the gear, we want to have max ranger gear on our energy Apate. Do this for her first because it's just going to give her that massive speed boost, an extra 35% speed, as well as the other additional, stats. But the skill effect that you can have if you are just using Apate with, maybe a Sky, another Apate, maybe even other ranger girls, for example, you can have her increasing her own attack here as they perform basic attacks. A nice little 9% attack boost and 20% crit damage. That's not bad. But if you're using Apate in the front 1 position, you also have the added protection option here just to make her a little more tanky. Why not? Of course, those will be the two that I look at the most. And for her potentials, of course, you could also use attack instead of speed if you want to do some extra meme damage. Which, why not? In PvE, you'll definitely want attack in here just because flat attack is going to increase her base stats overall. Of course, we did have an Apate skin. It is not a speed skin. It just gives her some more HP, some more attack, and some damage reduction. Has her rolling around on this ball down here, part of our little circus theme that we had a while ago. Well, rest assured, Yuki will most likely be releasing a speed skin sometime soon. Although her art, I guess is quite nice. I like the demonic idol kind of theme that they put on her. It kind of fits the carry theme from back in IH. So sure. Power is quite nice. I think I'm still working on this one's elite skill. I barely got to build a second one. Sacrifices were made. Let's just say that. Of course, also get up her intimacy here because that extra attack is always going to be good. Just remember, guys, the theme here is more attack on Apate. For PvE, mainly in Guild Boss 61, she helps keep the boss's energy down a bit. In not Angel, let's have Demon in here. She's gonna help keep the enemy target's energy down, helping your Kratos's, do more damage. Sanctuary, she's gonna be quite useless because that boss does not tend to keep an energy bar up. He just hits and revives and hits back. She's not gonna be helpful at all in there. And then in Security Squad, she tags along really nicely with Vivian. Not Vivian. Vivian and also Izanami, with draining the boss's active skills so that you can actually stack your own buffs and do more damage. But it kind of sucks if she's not able to really drain the energy, because then you're going to get smacked by a massive amount of damage. So keep that in mind. So in this Vivian and Nephilim meta, Apate seems to work as a very awesome, workaround to the Vivian issue. First, that Vivian tends to always be draining energy and speed with her own passives. And then using her active skill just causes so much annoying healing to happen around. If you have 1 or 2 Apates, you have a better shot at just completely disrupting that strategy. And you will see in the battle report here, so stay tuned towards the end. Versus Nephilim likes tagging up those equilibrium marks to just do boatloads of HP % damage whenever enemies use their active skills. But of course, nowadays with Apates rolling around, a lot less active skills, let's say, are being used. So Nephilim just tends to be more of an HP heal debuffer, doing extra attack damage at the end of every round. But when she does get those equilibrium marks off, it can be very destructive. So a lot of teams using 1 or 2 Nephilims would definitely see less return or less reliability, for example, on deploying those active skill marks. When using doubles though, you're going to see that Apate start feeding each other, since this last skill over here, whenever a girl is defeated, Apate's having low HP but always being able to revive constantly, tend to feed themselves. So having 2 or 3, you'll see Apate's almost always doing an active skill at the start of every new round. Especially if your enemy also has Apates. Imagine 3 versus 3, you're just going to have a lot of dying, a lot of reviving. It's just incredible. But I want to hear about how you're using your Apates, and if you have any interesting experiences with Apate coming back from the void and reviving at full HP, full energy, and just turning the game around when it may have seemed lost as a cause. Of course, if you have any questions or gear loadout questions as well, be sure to leave them down in the comments. I'm absolutely excited to hear about them. Of course, if you enjoy the information that we're bringing you on the channel, I definitely appreciate a like or subscribe, just so you keep up with the news and content coming out here. Of course, everyone, I wish you a happy weekend. Remember, happy gaming.
さて、今度はどんな冒険が待っているのでしょう。二十歳の歌声で踊りなさい。どうか私を導いてください。どうか私を導いてください。形の歌声で踊りなさい。お星様、どうか私を導いてください。お星様、どうか私を導いてください。形の歌声で踊りなさい。形の歌声で踊りなさい。問答無用、カオス殲滅。問答無用、カオス殲滅。形の歌声で踊りなさい。形の歌声で踊りなさい。 声で踊りなさい。二十歳の歌声で踊りなさい。少し本気を出すわ。